Anacostia is a neighborhood in southeast Washington, D.C. that's on the eastern side of the Anacostia River. It's kind of like Harlem or the south side of Chicago. Anacostia is that to Washington, D.C.
I'm in love with a beautiful girl.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
She don't care about hey, rock and roll. Tell her, baby.
Back in the late 80s and the 90s when the Dreamers program was underway, it was really isolated because it was hard to get across that river.
Once you head over this bridge, you're really in another land.
Boarded up buildings, a huge amount of trash. There was no actual grocery store within miles.
There's always shooting going on.
Yeah.
So I grab us, we stayed on the floor, get in the tub.
It was tough, rough. You know, a lot of those projects, you know, look like you're in jail.
I lost a lot of my friends, and their bodies would be coming out of these buildings, and they would be out on this street right out here, dead.
I'm working with an organization called the I Have a Dream Foundation. So we have 67 kids who we follow from the time they're 13 till the time they graduate from high school. I guess if you come from a place like this, you've got to put your hopes in something. I wish it was school these kids put their hopes in, but usually that's not it.
Seemed like we were a part of the city that was forgotten about.
Stuart Bainham is a successful businessman, and the I Have a Dream program was his first very large outreach into the community.
What sparks the idea was by virtue of the poverty we experienced in our family.
He was raised in the Depression in the Midwest.
He's a man who does not have a college degree himself, who is a plumber, who went on to build the second largest hotel chain in the world. So he expects success.
I remember us taking a picture with Mr. Bainham so tall and regal in the back and all 67 of us in front of him. We're all going to college and you're going to pay for it all? What's the catch?
Like one of the publishers clearinghouse, my mom and I were just like, what? I mean, who is this guy at the door saying that, you know, you got in the scholarship? But Kia Smith and I lived next door.
Our particular I Have a Dream class was the second class in the Washington area. When Mr. Bainham came to Kramer, he could literally take half the incoming seventh graders. So he chose the top homeroom, the middle homeroom, and the bottom homeroom.
It was arguably the worst public school system in the United States.
I mean, a lot of fights in there, you know, people get jumped, people get stabbed. I mean, it's just a lot. It was always something going on in Kramer.
I used to walk around with a weapon on me every day because I felt like I had to protect myself because I didn't have nobody to protect me.
Our program ran from 1988 to 1994. These kids were being raised in the toughest neighborhood, in the toughest city, at the toughest time. It was the absolute height of the drug wars.
Yeah, look what I just got. 4 hard-cold 50s, man.
How much do they come at?
$50 a piece. This how easy you can buy drugs off DC.
Crack had hit the streets, I think, 5 years beforehand, and I don't think people had ever seen anything like it before. Just how addictive it was and how lucrative it was to sell.
This is crack cocaine. It's as innocent looking as candy, but it's turning our cities into battle zones.
Crack came and it tore it down. It tore the families up. Your business started being on the street, right in everyone's face. So your mom buying drugs from somebody, or just your family members walking the streets like a zombie. So you couldn't hide it no more.
I ain't had no argument with nobody. This camera stuff, man. All that stuff. You don't see me arguing, fighting, nothing wrong. I have 2 children here. Okay, get the camera out of here. Get the hell out of here. I'm telling you, brothers. Thank you. And I'm getting my stuff and I'm leaving. You didn't see me.
This had to be the all-time worst thing in the world to admit that your mom was a crackhead. Like, when it came to fights or people being bullied, a lot of times it was about, oh, your mom's a crackhead.
Foot traffic, drugs every day, going to school worried that someone would say they saw my sister out walking the street at night. So it was hard. It was hard.
All along here, you'll see drug dealer right here at the corner. That's Lucky Steve.
They started arming themselves. And the violence just, all of a sudden, it was just out of control.
Bullets ring out, then a running gun battle. Shootout happened at Anacostia on Howard Road.
Break out at a South. Students were stabbed and a fire was set.
It's dangerous, man. It's like Vietnam. DC is like Vietnam. I gotta walk and look around and watch my back. As you can see dudes come out and hang out here, smoke blunts, and all that other stuff.
It became natural when they say, "Oh, this person got shot." You'd be like, "Oh, for real?" Because we got so used to hearing it.
Every day, every day.
They were just children when this all started. Their formative years were spent in the middle of what, to me, looked like a low-level civil war. It was horrible. It was awful.
It's a crazy world to live in. It's either 2 or 3 ways out of it: jail, death, or you've just been blessed to walk away.
I don't care how innocent you are, how far away from the drama and the violence you believe you are. It could be your day that you just are in the wrong place at the wrong time.
When it was apparent that the mentorship model that was typical of an I Have a Dream program wasn't enough to even begin to address the resource gaps that these kids faced.
Mr. Bainham hired Phyllis Rumbarger, who was really a top-flight pedagogic expert, to run his program, and she spent almost all of the school day teaching.
Their lives were never, ever, ever going to get better unless they were at least literate and they at least knew some basic academic problem-solving skills. So I was bound and determined. I had my own room. The students were assigned to me very much like they'd be assigned to anybody else. I was the only white person that most of the students and families had ever known really well, except for policemen and social workers.
Phyllis was looking for a project coordinator.
And I immediately knew when Steve came in, he was the right person. And it wasn't because he went to Yale. And it wasn't because he was African American. Being young helped.
You know, that was 25 years ago, man. You think this man ain't slowed down, man? You don't let the smooth take food.
I was born on the south side of Chicago, which is a place much like Anacostia, to a single mother who apparently was very young, you know, all this and that, same old story. You know, if I was raised by her, I wouldn't be in front of this camera today. I would never have gone to Yale. You know, I wouldn't be the same person I am now.
I was 21, 22 years old, and I had this vision that if I was just there, I could change everything and make it better.
I remember Mr. Bumbaugh first day there. He tried to break up a fight.
I hadn't even been through the school entrance on the first day, and I had blood all over my white shirt.
All I remember is the boy bleeding, and it was all over Mr. It was like so dramatic. It was just like, he ain't ready for this. And we were like, he's not gonna last.
I started off wearing penny loafers, and within a week, I had swapped them out for black sneakers because I broke up so many fights. I was sliding on the floor.
In the first year or two that I worked here, I just wanted them to get through 7th grade.
Individual tutors were hired to work with the program. We had mentors. 10 o'clock, I saw who was in class and who wasn't. I'd go get the kids who weren't there, drag them out of bed and bring them to school. I mean, it was that level of involvement.
We tried to do the same type of thing in the summer, and I think we were extremely successful.
They showed us something different other than Southeast, because that's all we knew, was Southeast.
We had created a family. We loved each other and cared for each other, looked out for each other. We needed that support and that love and that fun that we were getting from each other to help us to cope with what was going on in our world.
Steve and I were catalysts, but we learned so much of this from them. And there's so many things that we learned about resiliency and ability to make it, and don't give up.
It was like 7th to 8th grade. We were like evicted. Me and my mom, we actually moved into a shelter. Now, that was depressing in its own right. I couldn't really tell anybody because you didn't want to be teased and the situation was bad. She actually had a baby, another baby, while we were there. There's 6 kids altogether. I thought she was making her situation worse because it's hard for us. We barely getting by. How can we take care of another person? My stepdad, he was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. Abusive, he did. You can't study for a test with all this going on.
Hey, we got those pictures off the Washington Post. Remember? They were taking pictures of us up in the stands? Yeah. Yeah. I think they got one of me rising up right here. Antwan was looking up at me.
Everything was an escape. Everything. So anytime you can take advantage of a situation, it was great.
All right. The only thing that's changed in 25 years, you used to come over to my house on Friday nights, right? I used to be able to pick him up over my head. Yeah. Those days are over. Yeah. I used to look how big that guy is.
It's like so much stress here. Like, yeah, what's wrong? We going over there this weekend? What we gonna do? We gonna play basketball? We gonna do this? He's like, yeah, okay.
All right, bring it to the top.
At 3 o'clock, and sometimes before 8 o'clock in the morning, we were a mentorship model. You put on your mother hat. What would I want my kids doing at this point? It was just what we did because Steve and I felt it was so important.
She can come anywhere in so many of these bad neighborhoods. Nighttime to drop us off, daytime to pick us up. I mean, anytime, and they knew who she was. Like she had a pass.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, this is great memories right here. Took a group of kids and changed our life.
Yeah.
If Steve and I said we were going to the grocery store to buy a loaf of bread, you'd have 10 kids wanting 4 seats in the car. They just knew nobody was going to be negative to them. It might be as boring as going to the grocery store for a loaf of bread, but there'd be no hassle for paying for the bread at the end. Nobody was yelling, nobody was drunk.
She was like my second mother. So every time I would get through my work at school, I always wanted to find Miss Rumbarger. I always wanted to find Miss Rumbarger.
Once the parents trusted us, I would invite them out to the house. Really tragic part is that I was treated 1,000 times better here than those students are treated in Potomac or Bethesda, wherever.
Yeah, she waking me. She just woke me up.
Time to get up.
Yeah, she just turned the shades on and tried the sunlight came in my eyes.
How you doing? Oh, I'm doing better now.
Oh, it's been so long. I've been waiting on you.
Did you think this day would ever come?
Yeah, I didn't know when.
You knew sometime.
Yeah.
All right. When I look back on it, I think the biggest gift I gave him was me. Because I didn't accept second rate.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. All right. See? Do you remember?
Yeah.
You made all that?
I
You
made
did.
it.
You did make it. You just have to kind of one foot in front of the other, right? Yeah. And that's what you and I did.
Yeah.
We kind of figured it out on the way, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
You showed me a lot of stuff, and I want to thank you.
Come with a 25 caliber Raven R pistol.
Remember capital murder victims.
The school system has failed a lot of our people. Our dropout rate is 40, 50%.
School out.
By ninth grade, we saw that many of the students, there was just no way that they would be able to stay the course and even graduate from high school.
%15 of our girls have kids or are pregnant. 3 boys out of the 26 boys we have been in jail just in the past 3 weeks.
You could not get kicked out of our program. There was no way. Other programs, if you got pregnant, you were out. If you got incarcerated, you were out. If your parents didn't show up to the PTA meetings, you were out. In our case, you could be gone from school for 2 years, and we still checked on you once or twice a year, and anytime you wanted to come back, we'd let you back in, because we were never going to give up on you.
This is Eastern High School. This is where I work. This is where our program is based.
So the program was going to move to Eastern High School. We knew we weren't going to be able to replicate the cocoon we had at Kramer.
Numbers are done. Now you have 11. We have probably 52, 53 kids that are still very committed to school out of 67. In their neighborhood, about 50% of the students drop out of school in junior high school. And for example, what we've evolved into is a stay-in-school program.
We would muse about how great it would be if some of the kids in particularly difficult situations didn't have to live at home. It was Mr. Bainham's idea of actually getting the kids out of the city altogether and going to a boarding school that he had attended. So he was willing to fund as many kids as wanted to go to Mount Vernon Academy. And ultimately, we're able to get 10 students to attend that school.
Mount Vernon, Ohio was out in the country, and it was a culture shock for these children.
These are city kids. They're all black, and they go to this rural Seventh-day Adventist residential school in Ohio where almost all the kids and staff are white and Midwestern. I mean, it was really something else. It was really something else.
It was crazy. We had no idea what we were about to get into.
I was surprised when Antwan Green agreed to go. I was. He was such a tough, Southeast kid, I just didn't think he would agree to go. I just didn't think he would.
I was nervous, but at that time I'm thinking, okay, well, we going to college anyway, so we're gonna have to leave, so it might as well get a start on it. And so I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, I can do this. It's like, we don't have no distraction. It's only study time. I can apply myself, and plus don't tell me I can't, because I can do anything. If I put my mind to it, I believe I can do anything.
See, that's what I'm saying. See? He's smart. He went out there, someone challenged him, said something like he didn't deserve to be there, and he got...
From right there, it was the defining moment. I changed everything. I studied. I didn't play basketball. I studied. I passed every test. I did every single class. I worked my tail off. Every single class. I got all A's.
And it was one of the proudest moments in the whole program. Antwan Green, this kid we knew could do this, he was doing it.
Like, I catch on so fast. It was like, I was catching on so fast. I'm like, this stuff is easy. We take the test, it's literally absolutely the same thing I just studied. It was like, man, this is like I'm cheating. I'm like,
I knew I wanted to be an attorney. I can see the future. I can see it crystal clear that, you know, now I'm saying colleges, I know where I want to go. I don't know how I need my grades to be.
It was an amazing transformation. And then it all fell apart.
She was a white girl, and she asked me to the hay dance, barn dance, or whatever. I mean, the school went off. Administrators, parents, everybody. I mean, it was just like all kind of racism coming at me every which way. How old was I then? 15, 16? And I'm like, I don't have to go through this. Like, well, for what? We didn't do anything. We never kissed, we never hugged. We walked through the door together. And she asked me. I don't have to be here if you don't like me. You don't want me here, that's fine. I don't have to be here. The home situation was really bad. My mom's situation was really, really bad. Stepfather, he's getting out of control now. I wasn't there to protect my mom, and I knew my mom had to get out of it. I decided enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. I gotta change the cycle. I gotta stop the pain.
We looked for him and looked for him. And we knew kind of where he was, but he admits himself, I understand now, that he didn't want to be found.
I had other ideas at that time to fix the situation that I was in.
Martece was the it girl. She got great grades. She was always in a good mood. It just seemed like everything worked for her, you know?
I had a Harvard jersey. I always talked about that, you know, I was going there and I was going to be this doctor. So college was always a goal of mine. It probably started around 9th grade. I can definitely remember one particular Christmas, waking up to nothing.
Oh, this is kindergarten. Shy little Martece.
I used for 25 years before I actually hit a bottom. I maintained my job. I was really functioning until crack came in the picture. I mean, I can't explain the feeling except that I always say when I share my story that I remember the first time I indulged, I heard the Star Spangled Banner.
I did an amazing job hiding it. It was just something that I just could not let out of the bag. I mean, no one could know. Because for me, being the popular captain of the majorettes in high school as well, it just wasn't accepted. You just couldn't. There was no way in the world you could say that, you know, my mom's a crackhead. We dated older guys who took care of us. One of which who used to sell drugs to my mother. And that was an epiphany for me.
I think I see a picture of Karan on the day we had the cookout when it was freezing.
I remember there was one time when a friend had given me some money to pay for my senior pictures and my senior fees. I went to sleep, totally forgot to put my money in my bra. I get up, hundreds of dollars gone.
This particular drug, the methadone, doesn't have any of the after effects or the withdrawal effects that the street drugs does, which means the I Have a Dream program wasn't a factor. Nothing was a factor. It just was about me getting high.
I remember just being so fed up with her, very resentful, feeling like that she was to blame, that why I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I mean, I mean, and this is so terrible to say now, but there were some times when I wish, oh gosh, I know her dying would be less painful than what I'm going through. And then I feel really bad for even thinking that, because my mother is amazing. She is, I mean, the clean version of her, but I remember when she just hit rock bottom, like, we have no house, we have no car, we have no food. So I just felt like her dying, I mean, at least I wouldn't have to deal with this.
Do you ever despair?
Do I despair? Oh, sure, everybody despairs. I despair about a lot of things.
About your kids?
Yes, yes, I do. The job's not all despair, but when you pick up your favorite child because her mother has beaten her head in with a baseball bat, and you see her in her mangled condition, that is cause to despair.
My sister called Mr. Bumbaugh and he came. So he went to the hospital with me and my sister, and my mother went to jail. My home was the danger zone. Coming home for me was eerie. It was scary. I didn't know what to expect when I would come home. My mom was taking care of me and my sister by herself. There was a lot of drinking. She had a lot of friends who had addictions, drug users. There were times when I didn't want to go to school because I was afraid of what might happen to my mom while I was in school. My school picture, this is her. That's her.
Oh, yeah?
When we were in elementary school. That's my mom and my sister. And my mom and me. My mom, she drinks a lot or whatever. She isn't alcoholic. It's always hurtful for me to share things about my mom because it hasn't been an easy life for her. It hasn't been an easy life for me. And when I share my story, I think about how hard that was.
Was I the mother that I wanted to be? Well, I could have used a lot of improvement. But I don't think I was the worst mother that I could have been or that I've seen other mothers be, you know. They gave me a hard time about certain things. And some of those things were helping me to make it through life, you know.
So school, nah, that was not important to me at all, not even a little bit.
With Tenille, the first word out of everybody's mouth was artist.
You were one of the only dreamers I had met before the first day of school. Like, I don't know exactly what I said, but it was something like, Tenille Warren, Tenille the Great, nice to meet you. How are you?
And I responded like,
You gave me a limp handshake.
Because you probably scared me.
And you didn't look me in the eye. And then you gave me a hard way to go for the first few months.
For the first few months or the next 10 years?
The first few months.
It didn't matter that this one person comes along when I'm about 12 years old and starts trying to tell me, you can do this, you can be great, you're awesome, you're talented, you're smart, you can do whatever you put your heart to. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about?
You wouldn't even talk.
I didn't have to talk. I expressed myself clearly.
Okay. So shy. Nancy's out the closet, bloom like a flower. I mean, Jesus.
I got a lot to say now. I held back.
Yeah, she's making up for lost time.
Yes, exactly.
I was on 18 for Minnesota. I don't remember.
After a while, I had accepted he's not going anywhere. He's relentless. He's not giving up.
You went to catch him? I thought you went to war.
No,
The harder I tried to push him away, the harder he worked to try and build me up.
If you're in a rough
It was crystal clear that her really tremendous talent as an artist needed to be facilitated, and we had this really well-known, renowned public school in D.C. that could, we thought, accommodate that.
A big part of what they get out of it. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's the same thing. I also think that
But I was thinking about how angry you were with me for sending you to Duke Ellington.
Yeah, you can add another very to that very, very angry, because I was very, very angry
Yes,
with
indeed.
both of you. And I couldn't believe he had done that. I'm like, this man just threw me under the bus. And I was gonna have to stand in front of people and show them what I was made of. And I didn't want to do that because I didn't feel as though I was made out of much at all. I went to Duke Ellington 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and I probably stayed mad at him until 12th grade. So probably for 2 years, I stayed mad at him and my mother. Mr. Bumbaugh was the first person to kind of tell me about art schools in New York. Because I was really scared to go to New York because I didn't have anything, had never left D.C., didn't know anything about any other place. And I knew that I was going to have to graduate and make a decision. My decision was I'm going to make money to get out of my mother's house.
I don't think Mrs. Rumbarger or I or Mr. Bainham realized what a big leap it was for dreamers to leave D.C. and leave home and go to college and sleep in a dorm.
And I just saw a job as my only means of making it. And just that whole idea of how am I going to survive, take care of myself. And it wasn't school. Sorry, it wasn't school.
We had this middle-class notion that if we got the kids through high school, they had wings and they would fly. Now, I mean, all the science will tell you that that's not true.
The sadness came, of course, for those that didn't graduate. Some of them were essentially lost to the system. One had been killed on the street. We had a few that were functionally illiterate, but they still graduated.
I cried on the phone for like a minute. I was like, I just got accepted to college. Mother dropped the phone, started like, you know, praising God, thank you, Lord, things like that. You know, it was like one of the, you know, greatest moments of my life.
So I guess we're gonna get started. So I'll escort you guys down.
One of the new MEMS in education reform is grit and persistence. And the notion is that education reformers have to teach these inner city kids grit and persistence so that they can make it into the middle class.
We wanted to bring you guys together to talk to the dreamers about what their experience was like and how they persevered and been resilient through time. We could actually begin with student raising your hand with questions that you have.
Was it a time you wanted to give up? Yeah, there were tons of days that I felt like I would give up. My sister had a baby and almost gave birth in the toilet. I wanted to give up then. when I was in college and she had yet another baby and she gave it up for adoption. I wanted to give up then. But you can't quit, you can't give up, no matter how hard it gets. Remember that.
The last thing these kids need is grit or persistence. It is the thing that they have in spades. It is the thing that the kids in the wealthy communities can learn from them.
Do your past affect your daily life today?
My past definitely affects me every single day. And my mother ended up getting addicted to drugs, and at that time it was crack cocaine. And I felt like if I left, she was gonna OD. And every day I think about, oh my gosh, can you imagine if I would have gone to school? I could have been a nurse for probably 20 years now. I was 18. In my head, it's like, you know, when you go to school, who's gonna feed you? Who's gonna send you money? And it was just too hard to even think about. What were my aspirations? What was I gonna do? I was dating Rick, head over heels about Rick, and I just happened to get pregnant. You kind of go through those things of feeling like there was no one there to kind of love you. Here was this person that you could love. In 2009, that's when it hit me, what I had let fall through the cracks. When, you know, you go for that promotion and they say, oh, you don't have a bachelor's degree. Gosh, if you know what I've been through, you give me a master's, you give me a doctorate. We have our presentation entitled America's Kids' New Drug of Choice. We'll also talk about the effects of K2 treatment. We have an interview with a user of K2, as well as a video that we'd like to share with you. Are you having any pain right now?
No.
When you practice this, you become more adept at finding the structures within the eye, the optic disc, the macula.
She goes to school, works full time.
Okay. And hey, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I spend a lot of time picking up grandkids and going to things, and I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Graduation day.
Right, but when you graduate from the 8th grade, then you'll go on to 9th grade. But they'll have a ceremony and a dance and all that stuff. For the 8th grade, okay. The part that I missed with her, I get with them.
Substance abuse disorders and substance abuse drugs, and I think I'm gonna need some of your help. You're familiar with these drugs, right?
Some I am.
Okay.
Some I am.
I'm just so proud of her. She has her own home. She is a substance abuse counselor, so she is helping other people who were in the same situation that she was in.
Put it in there for me, huh?
Yeah, we can. Me or Red. I mean, they're closed tomorrow, though.
Oh, you know, we still go through our healing process. Okay, sweetie pie, I'll see you later.
All right,
on,
bye.
yeah.
All right, see you.
Okay, love you.
I love you too.
Through this whole process, you're going back all the time.
Call me when you get in the house.
Okay, we'll do. That's my biggest regret, that I couldn't stop or didn't stop and say, I'm gonna be okay.
How's school going? How are classes?
Oh, everything's straight. I just got done doing my psychology work earlier today. We have class Thursday. We got a little 5-day weekend because we don't got class Monday.
Show me what the dorm looks like. You just giving me a closed shot. I need to see what's going on in the room. I don't want my kids to be held back in the ways that I have.
Life of a college student.
Yeah.
No money, no food.
The journey has been something, but this is one dreamer who got her dream going again, and I'm happy. I'm happy she did.
All right, guys, we're gonna pick up our questions. Tenille has a question over here.
Mr. Antwan, if you could go back, do you think you would have finished the DREAM program and went to college, or do you think you made the best decision?
Good question. Good question. That's a good question.
I just thought I had a game plan figured out. And you know, because my whole childhood was so strenuous and hard, I kind of wanted to be easy. I was taking risks, and I, you know, I did illegal things to provide. That was like '93, and it was still a lot of money in the city.
Come in here, you get good service here.
Rayful Edmond was Rafus, is what we called him. It was Rafus. He was this drug lord of DC, and he was the biggest in a bad time.
When Rayful Edmond was sent to jail, his whole drug operation fell apart and it splintered. So now, instead of one guy controlling everything, there were hundreds or, I don't know, thousands of young men.
Yeah, we were very worried about you. And then I lost contact with you because I could always call. There were like 5 or 6 streamers I could call and find anybody.
Right.
And they were like, he's driving a big Mercedes. I was like, ah.
You go from a situation where your mom may, I don't know, every 2 weeks might make $700 to you make that in a night. So now we went from struggling to I covered everything. I'm talking about $800 light bills, rent, we're not gonna be put out. Well, I got in trouble. And it was a serious situation where I was gonna be gone for a long time. I sat in jail for a while. You make a lot of prayers and you make a lot of promises. If you get a second chance, you're gonna do right. I won that case, and I didn't want to be in that situation ever again. I had just had my daughter. I wasn't in a relationship with her mom or anything like that. We weren't a couple. And she was my daughter. I couldn't just I could not be there for her. I mean, my wife. She was like, well, I mean, why did you try to get her? Now, mind you, I'm fresh off of the charge, and this is way before we even talking about marriage.
I saw so many more qualities in him that I think at the time he couldn't even see in himself.
I think some of the neighbors have really nice lawns, right? We got custody of her. I have legal full sole custody of her. And we've been a family She, Brian, myself, and my wife. Ever since that day.
Okay, you already did that. That's over. No more.
I've always been like a daddy's girl. He's very determined. One thing about my dad, he could do anything, fix anything.
I dealt with a transition before, a couple of times now. The Mount Vernon transition, the jail transition, and now this working thing. The working thing was far easier. ASG Trucking. And I do container services of all sorts. Yes, I'm the boss now. I'm the boss and I'm here to stay.
He always told me that everyone has a choice. Always make the smart choice.
We put him through college without any
financial assistance,
Yeah,
just
so-
paid for it, but
Right. So he's going through the master program with actually no debt. He's on his way to China for a year, and to come back, he's going to be a PhD. He's going to be a professor. He's out. I could have still been in prison now. 20 years, I believe, is what I would have ended up doing, maybe 18, 20 years. My daughter just turned 18, so that's her entire life. So the life that I created and made for myself and my family, I would have never had an opportunity if, so. Even though I didn't complete the program the way that, one think I should, those years were so influential to my life. Those years, just those times, they don't even know how much.
I constantly reflected on my life and thinking about, where did things go wrong? Am I going forward or am I standing still? That's when I realized that I still had not built up the courage to really be the artist that I felt like I could be. And I really wanted to do that. And that's what made me take the leap. So everyone was telling me don't go to a shelter, but everything else was not working out. So I was like, okay, Tenille, as long as I'm safe and I can keep doing what I came here to do, then I don't mind. I could not live with the pain of giving up. This was my very first mood and inspiration board. When you show it to people and they can really see the clarity of your inspiration, your vision, and your mood, all of which is so important. This is what I want to do. I was rejected from FIT twice. And I'm like, well, you're gonna try even if you fail miserably, and you're gonna try again just to see if the first time was an accident. So some 20 years later, I am finally going to FIT. I just thought that clothes really created this sense of beauty for women. And I was like, wow, if I could take that creativity and make something that gave women greater self-esteem, that would be awesome. This girl asked me this just the other day. She said, everybody has the same story. How many people grow up in the ghetto? How many people have, you know, sold drugs or been addicted to drugs or their parents were? And I said, I think the significant thing about the story is what you do with it. You know, I think me being a dreamer and like what that means, I would give him so much credit. Being there in the way that he has been so significant to why I can, I guess, why I continue to press to be a better person. So that's kind of how I'm playing with that. That's probably the most accurate, and then that'll turn into this right here. I don't have no back.
Nobody can go through what she's going through and not make it, and I'm convinced of that. And she has to make, for me to maintain my faith in this world, Tenille Warren has to make it. I have never seen anybody ever try as hard as her, ever.
I'm not always proud of myself because it doesn't look the way I want it to look. And I get lonely because I'm by myself. And I do everything on my own. And all I keep thinking about is I want to show my mother something different.
Time for traffic and transit on the ones. Here's Matt Ward.
Well, we do have some better news along the east side of town. We do have 2nd Avenue now reopened at 42nd Street, and 35th Street has been reopened too, westbound between the area of 2nd and 3rd.
In 1994, I was too young at that age to understand how long it takes for some seeds to germinate.
Now reopened at 42nd Street, and 35th Street has been reopened too, westbound between the area of 2nd and 3rd.
Hello?
Hey, Tenille Warren, how are you?
I'm fine. You should have FaceTimed me. The Tenille I know, she wouldn't have done this. She'd have stayed on her register and just said exactly what the job said to say. Hi, paper or plastic. It just was tiresome, and I was like, I'm doing everything but being an artist. And that's what I was trying to do when I even began this whole thing.
Well, that's what you're doing. That's why you're getting on this plane today, right?
Now that we're a quarter century removed from the time these 12-year-olds were adopted into the program, I feel like it was wildly successful.
Florence. I have more courage than I believe I did. I have more faith and hope than I could imagine. And I don't want to hold back anymore.
It was that hope, it was that dream, that seed that was planted.
Mr. Bumbaugh used to always ask us, man, the next 5 years, what you want to do? I listened.
If I didn't have the program, I wouldn't be as grounded as I am now. I think my life would be completely different.
I think I just took a different path, but I'll still get to that dream.
I so greatly appreciate Mr. Bain for what he did with this group of kids because nobody was looking out for us. And what he did for us by bringing that group of kids together and bringing, Mrs. Rumbarger and Mr. Bumbaugh into our lives changed the dynamics of so much of what was going on in our life. This came out of a man's vision to just give to people, just add to people's lives. And that to me is great.